Ugh. 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 I gotta get stronger. Ugh. 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 Ugh.
Oh,
Oh,
in there? No, don't go in there.
damn.
Tried to warn you.
Thank you for having me, everyone.
I never buy fighting games for full price because to me they always kind of lacked substance or content. That is until I tried the Street Fighter 6 demo and found out that I knew that they were going to have a lot of stuff to offer because of that World Tour mode that they introduced. And I got really excited, I got really interested in it, and I traded in a few of my games that I wasn't playing anymore to GameStop, and I bought Street Fighter 6 for like 24 bucks. Which, by the way, even though I could only find the PS4 version, it does come with the free PS5 upgrades. I did technically play the PS5 version, I just had the PS4 disc. I was never really a big fighting game fan. I mean, I used to play Street Fighter 2 a lot when I was a kid on the Sega Genesis. I used to play Mortal Kombat a shit ton on the Genesis as well, especially MK3. And a little bit of Soul Calibur here and there, but not to the extent that I really felt the need to want a fighting game like when it first comes out, you know what I mean? Street Fighter 6 was that one exception, just because I had a feeling that they would do something new with the genre. And they did. Now, this is a fantastic fighting game, through and through. And there are 3 different game modes, and I really want to go through them all and kind of address the pros and cons. That's what I usually do. But a game of this caliber, of this magnitude, a game that has so very few flaws, I want to get the small flaws out of the way first, and then I can just gush all over this with you guys. So, with that in mind, I'm going to introduce my very esteemed, recessive, shouldn't have been born colleague, my mentally handicapped, I should say, twin. That probably shouldn't have been born, but he's here with us anyway. You guessed it, Doppelgangertard. Doppelgangertard? Where is he?
Oh, I'm here. I made it. Thank you oh so very much for having me on your show, Darian. And thank you everyone for watching. Hi, my name is Doppelgangertard. I'm Darian's recessive twin. And welcome to this year's episode of Nitpicker's Guide to the Galaxy. Or should I call it Nitpicker's World Tour now? Get it? As in Street Fighter 6 World Tour? Which is the game I'll be nitpicking at. Street Fighter 6 is an amazing fighting game, even arguably broke new ground for the genre. It's a landmark game in its own way, but even the most influential games of all time have some flaws here and there, and this is without exception. For starters, the story in the World Tour mode just isn't all that deep. You're basically just trying to save your friend Botch from doing something reckless and getting mixed up with the remnants of former crime syndicate Shadowloo. It also doesn't help that throughout that time, you keep getting bombarded by endless text messages by the same people in quick succession. Why have dozens of text messages blowing up someone's phone when you can just send one really long one? Like, holy fuck, slow down! Even Darian couldn't read this fast. What the shit? How are they even typing that fast? There was one moment where the game froze during a fast travel load screen, and Darian had to literally close the game app on his PlayStation. Thankfully, this was a one-time occurrence, and he was able to fast travel successfully once again. What was more than a one-time occurrence, however, are unbalanced levels between the player character and the opponent. Why is it that some enemies have dramatically more hit points even when they are the same level as the player? It seems a tad unfair. Also, why do these two exact skill perks have different costs? Obviously, I'm gonna choose the less expensive one then. I'm not that stupid. What is up with this cutscene? Can anyone explain to me why Darian had a vagina onion head on top of another vagina onion head on him? Second thought, I don't want to know. All I know is I'm pretty sure this is an appearance bug, like the sunglasses from Cyberpunk 2077. Here's a real question though. Why does arcade mode have no last boss? What kind of fighting game doesn't have a last boss at the end of arcade? And shouldn't it be JP, the super powerful main villain of the World Tour story? The game also has a plethora of microtransactions. Now, thankfully, it seems it's all cosmetic, but it would be nicer to earn them all through regular online play, right? And lastly, the game has network connection problems up the yin-yang, so much to the point that Capcom postponed tournament events altogether until it is finally fixed. Well, I think that does it for this year's episode of Nitpicker's Guide. Now, if you can all excuse me, I gotta take a wet shit. If I leave now, hopefully I can make it this time. Bye!
So anyway, there are 3 main modes in the menu. World Tour, which is almost impossible to make out. Then there is Battle Hub, which is also almost impossible to make out. And then lastly is Fighting Grounds, which is... oh wow, you can actually read that in clear neon font. Well, let's start with World Tour. This is the big, beefy RPG single-player portion of the game. Here, you can make your own fighter. Now this has got to be the best creative character I've ever seen. Not in terms of realism, of course, but just in terms of sheer customization options. You can make them fat, skinny, jacked. You can even adjust how much body hair you have, the skin color, all the way down to the length of your limbs and to the size of your heads. You can make a hilarious monstrosity if you wanted to, and you can change all of this at any time through body shops. Look at this guy I found online. I just had to use photo mode on him. Hey, look, you can even make Popeye. Yep, there we go. That most definitely looks like me. Look how happy I am. One thing that's absolutely genius and logical with the avatar editor though, and this is something that I didn't suddenly remember until I was at least halfway through the story, is that your body tone and limb length determines not only how hard you can hit, but also how far your reach is. Now, I was struggling really bad with damage output for a while, and I think that's mostly because I made my guy skinny fat with no muscle at all at first. So eventually I changed my look to a more muscular guy, and I had an easier time. So just keep that in mind, that if you're a weak nerd like me in real life, you may want to alter your avatar just enough so that you can actually kick some ass in the game. Alright, enough about the crazy creator editor. Let me finally demonstrate to you the massive adventure that is Street Fighter World Tour. This may come off as just an open world fighter at first, but make no mistake, this is an RPG experience through and through. You advance through the story through various chapters, meeting new people, including some cameos from Final Fight. You can also take part in other minor side stories, side quests, and training trials that help you grow and learn more as a fighter, and give you points to level up your stats and unlock new perks and skill slots. There are plenty of activities that take part in the form of jobs as a fun little way of earning money. My personal favorite little job minigame is the pizza making one, as I think the purpose of it is to help you develop skills relating to special moves that require directionals. Actually, now that I think about it, quite a few jobs have a purpose of helping you get better with your reflexes, like learning when to block with the basketball game, or learning how to do build-up moves with the bottle choppy game. One of the biggest factors of why I believe the story mode to be more RPG than fighter are consumables that you can use during fights, from soda pop that can heal your health to other snacks that can give brief defense and strength buffs to your character. But why on earth would you eat used bubblegum? Am I fighting or am I verse jumping? I personally did my best to avoid using fight consumables unless I really felt the need to, like in tournaments, for example. Which, spoiler alert, make sure you don't start the final tournament at the mountain peak until you are at least level 60 or maybe level 55 with a lot of healing and defense items. I was only 46 and I kept getting pummeled, but I barely scraped by just because of how many healing items I conserved the whole time. And these don't revert back into your inventory if you lose a match or crit out. So be very wise and mindful when using these. When you're out of fights and your health is still injured, you can always visit a food stand to buy some pizza or other kind of cuisine to heal you that way. They may even sell items that you can save during fights as you progress through the game. Alongside food stands are also clothes stores where you can buy and equip clothes that give you better stats than what you last had. You can even enhance your current sets of clothes using fiber and sacrificing obsolete clothes to further enhance your build. Think of it like armor enchanting, as well as even changing the colors with dye. A bit later on in the game, you can change your appearance look without having to change your gear, so you can still be as fashionable or as normal looking as you like, so that you don't keep running around looking like Bob the Builder. Man, I just love exploring Metro City and picking fights with street punks and gangs who, for whatever silly reason, wear cardboard boxes on their heads. They'll come after you, they can ambush you, which gives them the first attack, or you can ambush them first to get the advantage. You can also just run away, but then you risk being a bit underleveled for the story in the long run, which is something I'm guilty of, actually. But I do love riding the train and fighting everyone on it. You can get potentially different rewards each time you do as well. Much later on in the story, you'll come to the second main area, a village in China called Neishao, another place I immensely enjoy exploring. Although I have to ask, why the hell am I helping a drone fall in love with another drone? Why am I fighting hostile drones, or evil Roomba vacuums, and refrigerators? What the fuck is going on now? Okay, I think I'm starting to see shit. I gotta take a break. Hang on, I'm gonna get a drink. A nice cold water should hit the spot. But seriously, this game does offer a ton of rewarding exploration opportunities involving basic puzzle solving in certain areas. There are times where it actually kind of reminds me of playing a Resident Evil game, strangely enough, with Capcom's signature camera use of, hey, the light is green and the door is open now. But there are other places that require the use of various master abilities to reach hidden areas that would be otherwise inaccessible on foot, like Chun-Li's spinning bird kicks or Ken's Shoryuken, and unlock hidden treasure chests that more often than not contain useful items like permanent stat boosters or valuable ores that you can sell for a lot of money. So how do you get more of these open world master abilities? It's simple, and it leads me to the next chunk of this review, by getting enrolled as a student by visiting Street Fighter vets and legendary fighters from all around the world. By becoming an apprentice under each unique master, not only do they give you a new master ability to use in open exploration, but the more you train under their style, the more moves you can inherit from them. The beauty behind this particular system is that no matter whose style you prefer using, you can still pick special moves inherited from other masters in order to form a fighting build of your own. This makes for near endless amount of different playstyles to experiment, whether you want to create a ranged build with projectiles, or keeping things closed with special throws. There are also moves associated while in the air. Let's take a step back with the Master Bond system before getting deeper into the core combat. Along with leveling up a Master's form by defeating opponents under their study, another way to increase their bond is to give them gifts that you either find in the open world, earn through missions, or buy in shops. Gift giving varies by the taste of what each Master likes, and if you give them something they really like, their bond can dramatically increase, and they will open up to you more about their past. Learning who every legendary fighter is and how they came to be is something I've grown to really enjoy, and you visit a lot of them by traveling to distinctive parts in the world, from meeting Marissa the Lion Tamer in Rome, or legendary wrestler Zangief in a ring in Russia, to finding peace in martial arts with series badass regular Ryu in a secluded temple in Japan. These aren't areas you can really explore, but being able to increase bonds with these characters and open up new moves, as well as learning how they came to be, will always be worth the plane tickets you need to travel there. Doing the story and all the side missions in World Tour mode will easily give you about 25 hours of playtime, but wanting to max out bonds with all of these fighters will exceed far beyond that time frame. I mean, we're talking at least another 25 hours or so on top of that, when you also include the time to grind out encounters to reach the level cap for your avatar if you wanted to. Before I finally move on to the Battle Hub segment of this game, I do want to delve a bit more into the combat system. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I still have a hard time remembering most of the mechanics even now. Street Fighter has always been one of the more complex fighting series, and it's probably evolved even more here than it ever has before. Hell, even when it tries so hard to teach me all the fundamentals through the little tutorial side missions, I still feel overwhelmed and just confused. And so I'm only going to assess what I know so far. I love the general feel for this game. I love how you block. The heavy attacks feel like they hit hard as hell. I love doing throws, oh my god. I also love how you can briefly summon a master to assist you in battle at times. But what I also love are punish counters where you attack your opponent while they are vulnerable, while they're performing specific attacks. Oh, and don't get me started on the drive counters. They're basically like powerful parries. One thing that seems to be dividing a lot of people is the accessibility feature, aka the modern control scheme. Now, I'm personally a huge supporter of accessibility tools in games. It's what helps new or handicapped players have just as much fun as those who possess better hand-eye coordination. So personally, I have no problem with this. Modern controls make specials much easier without the need for muscle memory. Even though I still prefer the classic controls, as someone who grew up playing fighting games with 3 punch and 3 kick buttons of low, medium, and high variants, I endorse having the option to toggle modern controls for people who are new to fighting games. Hell, even I sometimes alternate between classic and modern because, well, I was never really that great at the more complex systems in fighting games anyway. I think World Tour is more than enough to satisfy people who prefer single-player games. There is so much to do and explore and discover and train, but I think I've talked enough about it. It's time to finally move on to Battle Hub, a lively social gathering where players come and greet each other and fight each other with their own avatars, ported over from their World Tours, along with whatever level they are and how much HP they have. So if you're planning to spend a lot of time in the hub center picking fights with your avatar, better make sure you play through World Tour first, otherwise the only fights you'll be winning against are the other newbies who are only level 1. I feel there should be a filter in this, where avatars can only fight other avatars who are a similar level, and not let a level 80 vet deliberately wipe the floor with a level 1 newcomer who has no clue of what they're doing, and then, even if they did, they couldn't stand a chance with the massive health and damage difference. But at least it lets you see the levels of people who are waiting for a fight to pick, which is better than nothing, I guess. Around the center are rings of arcade cabinets where players can sit down and play matches against each other with their favorite fighters. These matches can arguably be a little more unbalanced fights if there is one newcomer who is using classic controls and a person who has been playing for a while but still using modern. Again, I would like to see a filter or perhaps a lobby with just modern or classic control scheme players, but oh well, it's still fun, even if you're like me and you get your ass royally kicked. There's also the much less popular extreme battles in the corner here that are very unbalanced, on purpose though. These are basically party games where both sides must fulfill weird ass rules before the other one does, before the round ends to win. You'll almost never see people play this. This was actually the only recording I got, and it's just me spectating these two players go at it. For those interested, there is a way to play this with an AI, but I'll get to that portion near the end. I just love the overall atmosphere of the Battle Hub. I love how you can just sit down and watch TV on the big screen, observe all the hilarious character models that other players create, be some random DJ trying to act all cool, to making and designing your own clans, not that anyone really cares to join mine, to... Oh my god. Is this an arcade? Where you can play some of Capcom's old retro classics? Street Fighter 2? Sun, and Final Fight? Okay, that's it. This is the best package deal I've ever seen within a fighting game. I've noticed that there are a few arcade games that do tend to alternate once in a while, like at times I can play my personal favorite, Black Tiger, and some days it's Puzzle Fighter instead, which is also cool. And lastly, there are the Fighting Grounds, which is sort of like the weak link, but it's still pretty great. It's basically like the extras in terms of content and game modes. Here's where you can play the arcade mode with each unique fighter, and they all have their own little before and after story cutscenes. A basic training mode to practice anything you want. There are tutorials and other character guides to help you get the most out of learning all the ins and outs of each character, as well as trials to really test your skills at connecting different moves together. Here's where you can also try Extreme Battle in either split screen or with AI when no one else wants to play it in the Battle Hub. You can also select the rules and the difficulty of the AI. And last but not least, there are your usual online, casual, and ranked play matches, but these play pretty much the same as the Battle Hub cabinet matches, so I just think it makes it easier to join an opponent rather than sitting on your ass waiting for a purple Yeti or a fucking orange Bigfoot to play with you. Anyway, yeah, that pretty much covers it all. Wow, this is one long-ass review. At least for a fighting game anyway. So much content, and it's all good content. Once again, Capcom delivered this year, passing with flying colors for a second time in a row. They really are on a hot streak. With tons of single-player options, an amazing multiplayer component, lots of friendly accessibility, and the cherry on top, of course, being retro games for all you old nostalgic farts out there, Street Fighter 6 has a little something for everyone. And if I'm forgetting something, I'm so sorry. But I'm tired. I just want to finish this review so I can move on to Final Fantasy XVI. And if that bothers you, then perhaps maybe next time you can write a 3,300-word essay on a game, voice over it all like an audiobook, record skits, and then edit it all together by yourself and see if you like the results. Motherfucker. Motherfucker. And so, in the end, my final score for Street Fighter 6, as it stands, is a very strong 9 out of 10. This is one of the greatest fighting games I've ever played. It's the best fighting game I've played in years. In a lot of ways, it is probably the best fighting game ever made. at least in terms of content, in terms of accessibility options, in terms of single player. Holy shit. Guys, you gotta pick this one up. Okay, especially if you're a fighting fan, if you haven't already. I'm very sorry that this review took forever. Keep in mind, there were a few things that happened. One, I actually didn't get this game until a week after it came out. I couldn't find a ride into town because my car was still at the shop. And two, I did finally get my car back a couple days ago, and I made a video about that. I made a ton of videos regarding showcases, fucking countless of them. So yeah, I was pretty late getting this review out, but at least I got it out barely in time. So as always, thank you very much for watching. Buy it!
The Gamer Gods!